Hi kids, this is Pastor Raabe. I thought I would read you a Bible story every now and then, just to remind you about the Bible and how it always brings us comfort and hope, especially in these times. So today I'm going to read you the story of what's called the Good Samaritan, and I'll bet your parents know that story if you want to try telling it to them and see if it's what they remember. The story begins. Jesus was on his way back to Jerusalem after teaching and ministering to a lot of people all around the region. One thing to know is that the Jews did not like people who were called Samaritans. They were from a different country, they worshiped differently, they had different customs, and normally Jews and Samaritans had nothing to do with each other. So Jesus wanted to tell the people who were people of the temple and the Jewish leaders and all their followers, he wanted to tell them a story. One of the teachers of the Jewish law who was there asked Jesus, "Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus was clever and he answered by asking this man a question. "What does it say in the law of God? How do you read it?" The lawyer replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself." "Quite right," Jesus said. "If you do all that, you will live." Now the lawyer gave the right answer. You'd think that's pretty good and he should be proud of himself and just leave it at that, but he couldn't. He was actually testing Jesus. He was trying to get Jesus to say something that would go against the Jewish law so they could get Jesus arrested. The lawyer did not want to leave it there. He had another test question for Jesus. "Well then, who is my neighbor?" the lawyer asked. So Jesus told this story to show him. There was a man going down the road from Jerusalem to Jericho when thieves jumped out and came upon him. They beat him up, they took away all the clothes and all that he had, and they left him on the ground half dead. A little later, Jesus continued, a priest came down the road. He saw the poor man. He did not even go near him. He passed by on the other side of the road and left that poor man there. Now you would think that a priest would have done something for the wounded man, wouldn't you? Then a Levite came along. Levites studied God's laws and assisted the priests in their work. The Levite did go and look at the man on the ground, but then he hurried on to he had more important things to do. Later, a Samaritan appeared. Remember that the Samaritans usually had nothing to do with Jews, but this Samaritan man could not leave that injured person there on the road, bleeding and hurt and half dead. He stopped. He spoke to him, and out of his pack he brought some soothing oil to pour into his wounds. Then, using what he had with him, he bandaged up the man, lifted him onto his own horse, and took him to the nearest hotel. And here's a picture of that particular scene. I hope you can see it. I'm going to hold it up pretty close. You can see the wounded man on the back of the donkey who belongs to the Samaritan man, who is the one with the bandana around his head. The Samaritan man looked after that poor man that night. Later, the next morning, the Samaritan man said to the hotel keeper, "This man has been robbed and has no money. I will pay for him to stay here. Please look after him. Here is some money now. If it costs any more than that, I will pay you that and more when I come back." Now, Jesus said to the lawyer, which one of those three people was a neighbor to the man who was robbed? The lawyer answered, "The one who showed him mercy." "Yes," Jesus said, Now you go and do likewise. So this is a great reminder for us to love people in this time that's a little bit difficult, not to complain about what we can't do, but to thank God for what we have and what we can do. We have our family to love us, and we have all the things in our house and in our room that we can play with, and you have your creativity to come up with all kinds of wonderful ideas and drawings and artistic creations to keep you occupied. So be good, and I look forward to seeing you again, and God bless each one of you. Amen.